So we all know yesterday OJ Simpson passed away. And we all know that whenever someone as infamous or famous as he was passes away, the media coverage on that person goes on 10. Stories of the past resurface, and we all kind of start the recollection process. For me, it brought up how we as a society have evolved when it comes to the media coverage of certain tragic situations. How tragedies can at times become a spectacle. And when it came to the OJ Simpson case and the tragic passing of Nicole Brown and her friend Ron Goldman, it was almost like the media was cued to make that tragedy a show, a spectacle. But the reality is that a tragedy should never be a show. Someone being unalived is not a show. Someone being ex-violated or trafficked is not a show. People fighting, unless it's a sport, should not be a show. But we have become so desensitized to a lot of the lowbrow behaviors or tragic occurrences, maybe because it's constantly fed to us by the media. I think about the Me Too movement. When we first heard about it, it was shocking. But then you started to hear more and more reports and more prominent figures who were accused of certain behaviors. You heard so many of them that you've become perhaps desensitized to the news. So now outside of OJ and in our modern times, when it comes to someone like a Diddy, who may have allegedly ex-violated someone, and it should be noted that he has maintained his innocence, but at least according to civil complaints, particularly the complaint from Cassie, even though hers was a trigger warning, in fact, they even mentioned that in the filing, it was shocking. There were plenty of shocking elements. But when you listen to commentaries today about Diddy, especially after other civil complaints have come out, people are more focused on whatever ex-rapper he may have slept with because they may have been a man versus the people he may have ex-violated, including a woman who's currently a Jane Doe who may have been an underage woman at the time of her violation. People have become desensitized because they've unfortunately have heard these stories over and over. It has become tabloid fodder. It has become a spectacle. And it just makes you wonder where we're headed as a society in terms of our psyche or our morale. And I'm a part of this conversation. I'm a citizen of this country. I'm also fed a lot of whatever the media gives to us. I'm fed that as well. And so you sometimes have to catch yourself and say, wait a minute, this is serious. This is what we should be focused on. This is alarming. This needs to be handled by the law. Handled in terms of Diddy, it's so alarming. He needs to fight for his name or clear his name if these claims are not true, not post music videos, because these are some serious claims, or if it is true, it needs to be brought to justice. But yes, back to OJ Simpson and Nicole. That was the beginnings of this. As many have said, that was really the first reality show. Because even as a kid, I was moving to Guam with my family. And on our way to Guam, we're military. So at one point we did live in California. I'm a native Californian, born there, raised there off and on. So on our way to Guam, we decided to pretty much stay in California just a couple of weeks during our transition, prior to our big move. And it was the summer of '94. And I forgot the exact month we were there, but Nicole was unalived June of '94, actually on my birthday. And her crime scene became a spectacle. And yes, we were some of the people who showed up to want to see the scene. And I remember us going there and cars were honking and telling us and others to leave. But again, there were tons of people there, almost like it was Disneyland. And I'm thinking back like, wait a minute, a tragedy happened here. This is not supposed to be a spectacle. Tragedies are supposed to make you feel sad. It's supposed to give you some type of profound feeling of sadness, make you feel some type of emotion. Whereas a spectacle is something that is to entertain you, to wow you. I mean, you go to concerts for spectacles, or you go to a circus, but there all of us were in front of her home, where she lived, where she raised her children, and unfortunately lost her life along with Ron Goldman, and people were treating it like it was entertainment. The dichotomy of that, the contrast of that is mind-blowing. And obviously, eventually, they blocked her home off because people would continuously show up there. And look, I get it. A lot of it is just people wanting to be close to celebrity, or people wanting to be voyeurs. They want to engage in voyeurism just to be nosy, wanting to be a part of the action. Because look, the media was on this 24/7. In fact, they say you remember where you were when that Bronco chase occurred. Well, I was in Florida at that point with my grandparents, and I believe we were watching the New York Knicks, the championship game that was happening. And I remember they cut to the Bronco chase, and I didn't really know OJ like that. He was of a different generation from me, but my grandfather definitely knew him, and he was like, wow, what's going on? Not OJ. But from that point on, it became a media show, a media circus. And the show has continued on and on to this day. I mean, we've had films, documentaries, books, and so many careers were made as a result of the OJ Simpson trial. It's forever an interesting case to study. It was a unique time. It has changed, I believe, media forever. But what are your thoughts? Leave your comments below. I'm Stacey Brewer, and this is H Blue's Word. Peace.